My name is Rodney Hughes, Mr. 100%, and in today's video, we're going to talk about how to prepare for an interview. You're going to discover how to avoid the 7 deadly mistakes that cause most candidates to fail miserably during a telephone, video, or face-to-face interview. Let's talk about it. Let's dive right into this. Okay, so deadly mistake number 1, not knowing what the number 1 guiding principle is of all interview success. Do you know what the number 1 guiding principle is of all interview success? Listen, here's what I'm gonna tell you. There's only one reason in the world why any company would ever hire someone. It doesn't matter whether it's the CEO or whether it's an entry-level position. And if you don't understand what this number 1 guiding principle is, you are set up for failure from the very beginning. The number 1 guiding principle of all success in the interview process is solving problems. That's it. Solving problems. Listen, please understand this and don't ever forget it. As a matter of fact, if you don't take anything else from this entire presentation but this, it makes it extremely worthwhile. See, what you got to understand is this. All the company cares about is solving problems. And why this is so important for you to understand as a candidate is because the vital mistake that most candidates make, easily 99% of the people that you're going to compete against when you're going through the interview process, they have a mindset that's all about me, right? They go into the interview process thinking, how much can I get in compensation? You know, how many days of vacation can I get? Am I going to like my boss? Am I going to like my coworkers? And all of these things are very, very important. Don't get me wrong. Okay. But what you have to understand is that the company does not care what you want as a candidate until, and that's the key word there, until they feel like you are the solution that they're looking for. See, regardless of the title of the position that they're hiring, they are essentially looking to solve a series of problems. And see, if you understand what the guiding principle is of all interview success, then what you have the advantage of is being able to position yourself during the interview as the solution that they're looking for. See, you can have a genuine mindset of trying to understand what it is that they're looking to solve, and you can position yourself as the solution. Okay? Deadly mistake number 2, not having a sense of certainty. So many candidates go into the interview process and they do not have a sense of certainty about themselves as a candidate. And it all starts with you. See, here's the thing. If you're not certain that you are the solution for this position, that you're the best candidate for this position, then how can you instill a sense of certainty in the mindsets of the hiring decision makers that you're interacting with? It's almost impossible. Okay? And here's the thing. You need to understand that the company is at a huge disadvantage when they go to hire candidates. Okay? All they have to go off of are 3 data points. Data point number 1. What does the candidate say about him or herself? Right? And when I say what they say about themselves, I'm talking about what do they put on their resume? Well, here's the reality. If I wanted to, I could put on my resume that I'm the president of the United States. Doesn't make it true. And it's not true. Okay? But here's the reality. That's one data point that they have to go off of. And if you do well enough there, then you end up being in the position that I assume you're in right now, which is they want to bring you on site or do some type of telephone or video interview with you. Okay? Then the second data point that they have to go off of is what does the candidate do? Right? So in the actual interview, how well does that person actually interview? Are they impressive? Are they likable? Do they seem like they're knowledgeable? Right? And then the third data point that they have to go off of is what do other people say about that candidate? Okay? What do the reference checks come back saying? Right? What does a background check come back with? But if you take a step back and think about it, those are literally the only 3 data points that a company has to go off of. Now, what does that have to do with creating a sense of certainty? The reality is that at best, a company essentially has to guess when they're making a hiring decision. Okay? In the best case scenario, they're guessing. And because of this, the posture that most companies take on is a posture of, they take on a posture and a mentality of elimination, right? They're looking for reasons to eliminate candidates, right? So what your responsibility is as a candidate is you want to be able to create a sense of certainty in their minds that you are the solution that they're looking for. But in order to do that, it all starts with you. You have to be 100% sold that you are the best candidate for that position. Deadly mistake number 3, putting hiring decision makers on a pedestal. Never, please listen to me, never put another human being, especially in the interview process, up on a pedestal. See, what happens is if you go into an interview and you put, let's say that you're going to meet with the CEO of that company, and you put that CEO up on a pedestal, you have essentially put yourself in a weak position. And what you got to understand is this: that hiring decision maker that you're putting up on a pedestal in your mind doesn't even realize that you're putting him or her up on that pedestal, right? And here's what ends up happening. When you do that, you end up coming across as in a fashion that you're not really trying to come across in. Let me give you an example of this, right? So let's imagine that you were going in to see a doctor, and let's say that you were some, high status person or whatever, and a lot of people knew of you. You had some form of celebrity, right? If you go in to see that doctor and that doctor realizes who you are and they put you up on a pedestal in their mind and they're like, oh my goodness, I'm nervous, and they're acting nervous around you, right? Are you going to think to yourself, hey man, that's cool, he's nervous in my presence, right? Or is it going to freak you out that your doctor, who might end up having to operate on you, okay, it has you up on a pedestal? Well, see, here's the thing. What you got to understand is that regardless of the things that the hiring decision maker has accomplished in his or her career, they still got problems, and they're still looking to solve problems with this position. So you have to be able to come in and come in kind of on an equal playing field, saying, hey, I'm the solution that you're looking for. And it's very difficult to do that if you put someone up on a pedestal in your mind. Okay. Deadly mistake number 4, not performing strategic recon. This is one of those things where it baffles me. Okay. What do I mean when I say strategic recon? Doing your research. Okay. It amazes me how many people go into an interview without performing research and doing their strategic recon to understand what the company does and try to get as much information on the background of the people that they're going to interview with. It amazes me. Okay. And let me tell you a quick story. When, quite a few years ago, I actually interviewed with the #1 facilitation company in the world. And I ended up doing a telephone screen with the CEO of that company. And I performed my strategic recon. I did my research, looked on their website, looked up different articles, and I found this article that said that this particular CEO was the 2008 Facilitator of the Year. And so in the middle of our telephone interview, he asked me, hey, Rodney, so why are you interested in working for my company? And I was able to leverage that information that I found. I talked a little bit about why I was interested in the company, but then I also leveraged that information that I found online and said, hey, and also I think it would be great to be able to learn this business from someone who was the 2008 Facilitator of the Year. And when I said that, he was like, I gotta admit, I'm very impressed. You did your research, and that's very impressive. But think about how many people don't do their research. Don't you end up being that person, okay? Deadly mistake number 5, not dressing for success. Here's the deal. I don't care if it's a telephone interview. I don't care if it's a video interview or a face-to-face interview. I want you to dress for success. And the recommendation that I always make is I always say this: when it comes to your dress, I'd rather you be safe than sorry. So what I always recommend is that you dress like a government official. Just if you don't know how government officials dress, go on Google, look up how a senator dresses and pattern your dress style after a U.S. senator, after any government official. What you'll find is that they tend to wear conservative, dark suits, okay? And that's what I want you to do. Doesn't matter even if it's a telephone interview. And here's the reason why. Because when you dress for success, you carry yourself differently, okay? Have you ever think about the last time you got really dressed up? Didn't you just feel good about yourself? Didn't you have a certain level of swagger and confidence that you brought to the table at whatever you dressed up for? I want you to dress up and dress for success, because when you do that, you put yourself in a better position to perform better, okay? Deadly mistake number 6, not answering direct questions effectively. Now, this is a huge one, okay? I'm an executive recruiter, and I try to, whenever I'm representing a candidate, this is one of the primary things that I actually focus on, because so many people have poor communication skills when it comes to answering questions. I want you to always remember this. I'm going to give you a formula that will help you to answer any question, regardless of how difficult it is. It will help you answer questions more effectively. And here it goes. DA plus CC equals GA. Now, what does that mean? DA, direct answer, plus CC, concise context, equals GA, great answer, right? So a direct answer plus concise context equals a great answer. What does that mean? If someone asks you in the interview process a direct question, okay, you want to start by giving them a very clear and very direct answer. And then you provide context behind that answer. See, here's where most people mess up. Most people do it the opposite way, right? They'll be asked a direct question, and then they'll start trying to provide context before getting to the direct answer. And then sometimes, okay, a lot of times actually, what ends up happening is they end up getting lost in their context to the point to where they don't even give a direct answer, right? And then what ends up happening is that the interviewer ends up being confused. They end up getting lost in what it is that you're saying. So as a candidate, you want to get in the habit of, number one, identifying when somebody's asking you a very direct question, okay? Because I'm gonna tell you this, every decision maker that I deal with, and I deal with them on a daily basis as an executive recruiter, this is a pet peeve of every single hiring decision maker that I interact with. If they ask a candidate a very direct question and that candidate starts rambling on, they almost always have negative feedback about it when I follow up with them. Don't you make that mistake. So again, you want to use this formula. When they ask you a direct question, give them a direct answer, then give them concise context. Make sure that it's concise. You don't want to be rambling, right? And that equals a great answer. And then deadly mistake number 7, not being authentic. Here's the reality. So many people, when they prepare for an interview, they over prepare for that interview. Instead of, kind of brushing up on some of the technical knowledge and things of that nature. I mean, some people go to the extreme in trying to prepare for the interview. So much so that it's almost like they're trying to force in unnatural conversations during the middle of the interview, because they have this idea of what they think is going to happen in the interview. When the reality is you're better off just being confident. Remember how I talked about certainty earlier in this presentation? Be certain that you have the technical skills that they're looking for. Because here's the reality. If they questioned whether or not you had the technical ability or not, they wouldn't even interview you. They wouldn't do a telephone interview with you. They wouldn't do a video interview with you. And they definitely wouldn't bring you on site. Okay? So here's the thing. Be confident, right? And then that way you can be authentic. Okay? Be yourself. Right? Because when you're being yourself and you're being authentic, it tends to create a level of chemistry in the interview process that ends up working out to your benefit. Okay? But here's what I want you to understand. If you simply avoid making these 7 deadly mistakes, you'll dramatically improve your odds of acing your upcoming interview. Okay? Now, let me ask you a quick question. Do you realize that all it takes is one wrong move for you to get kicked out of the interview process? Just one. And you'll end up losing out on a great opportunity. I tell candidates this every single day. The job interview process is one of the most unforgiving processes that you'll ever go through. But what if I could show you a step-by-step system that can help you to exponentially improve your odds of quickly eliminating 99% of your competition so you can be perceived as the ideal candidate of choice by the end of your upcoming interview? Is that something you'd be interested in learning more about? Well, if so, I want to encourage you to order a copy of my book, my best-selling book, The Ugly Truth About Getting Hired: How to Land the Job of Your Dreams Regardless of the Competition. Let me tell you why I think you should get this book. Number one, it's a quick read. There's no fluff in this book. Okay, it gets right to the point. Okay, and it at the most, it will take you between 1 hour to 3 hours if you sit down and you focus to read this book. Okay, it's a quick read. Number two, in this book, I'm going to literally walk you from point A all the way to point Z through the entire job interview process, through all the phases of the interview process. And I'm going to show you how you can eliminate most of your competition in an ethical way at every single phase of the interview process. Okay? Like, do this, do that, avoid this, do that. I'm going to literally walk you step by step. And when you order this book, I'm going to give you a free downloadable copy of this book immediately. I'm going to send you the physical copy, but I want you to have immediate access to it, because here's the thing. I know you have an interview coming up and I don't want to delay you having access to this information. So when you order this book, I'm just going to throw in the downloadable version of it to you absolutely free, so you can have immediate access and you can start diving into this information that I promise you will help you to exponentially improve your job interview skills. Okay? Well, listen, I hope you got great value from this video. Listen, go through it a few times. Okay? I dropped a lot of great information in here that are going to help you avoid some major mistakes as you prepare for your upcoming interview. And again, do yourself a favor, invest in getting a copy of this book. Okay? It will change your life. All right? Well, listen, thank you again. And I wish you the best at your upcoming interview. I want you to crush it. All right? Take care.